The blueprint, study my movement, more than the 2 cents. Was losing, now I'm oozing with success. Now I got the tools to beat the stress. I lose cause I'm a step ahead of you.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We talk about NXT finally. I'm not going to discuss what I was doing before. We finally got here. So NXT from May the 24th. 2022. Not my favorite episode of NXT. It's really not. A lot of the stuff that is the main focus of this show is just not hitting for me. Some of this stuff is just not hitting. Not feeling the Gacy stuff. I'm just not feeling it. It's not working out. Also, the Tony D'Angelo, Legado del Fantasma thing. It's fun. But I kind of feel like I think we're hitting a circle now. Let's get into that because we're going to start the show with Tony D'Angelo, who says that Escobar couldn't handle things on his own, and since he couldn't handle things like a man, he's going to show them that it's not over, and that Stacks and Two Dimes are going to take care of some 2 guys. He used an Italian word I didn't recognize, and then they made their way to the ring. Escobar was slinked behind them. He is the Phantom and all. He was behind them, adjusting his glasses and smirking. And the first match was Malik Blade and Edith Inoue versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Troy Two Dimes Donovan. I actually wrote down their names. I originally just called them Stacks and Two Dimes, and I can't tell these guys apart at all. I swear I can't. I'm sorry. It's not a racial thing. It's just you introduce 2 people who look a lot alike. I can't tell them apart. So I just call them Stacks and Two Dimes. Now, Stacks and Two Dimes didn't screw up too much, but I think it was Malik Blade, or was it Idris Inoue, whichever one it was, slipped on the top rope trying to do a springboard clothesline. He didn't quite kill himself, but he tried to. He tried very hard, But Malik Blade and Idris Inoue, both of these dudes are so athletic. I think it was Inoue, his drop kick was beautiful. He's absolutely beautiful drop kick. Stacks and Two Dimes win the match though because Malik Blade and Idris Inoue are job guys. But Malik Blade and Idris Inoue, they have a lot of personality and they're athletic. They're just guys waiting their turn. I think that if they really just let them do something, they could really be somebody. Now, Stacks and Two Dimes just come across as 2 jamokes. It's just 2 random dudes. I don't see anything special in them, but I don't dislike them. I didn't see anything in this match that would make me dislike them. Legado del Fantasma came out in the aisleway, and Tony D'Angelo basically challenged them to come to the ring. It was a big fight. The officials broke it up. Everybody got separated. Later on, Tony D'Angelo would challenge Santos Escobar and says that he wanted to have another sit down. He said, last time you came to me, this time I'm coming to you. And I was like, they already did the sit down, and Santos Escobar already broke whatever treaty they were going to talk about. So what the hell are they talking about? What do they got left to discuss? Why are they still talking? Tony D'Angelo says, we're trying to stop a turf war. I'm like, he bashed you in the head with brass knuckles. The turf war is on, baby. What kind of Don are you that you don't know that the war has already started? The war has already started. He put one of your boys in the trunk. I ain't seen that dude since. So did he ever get his guy back? No. I don't know. Did AJ Galante? I know that the NXT parking lot is basically the negative zone, right? You get tossed in there and never to be seen and heard from again, unless you're extremely, extremely lucky. But I have to know. Now I didn't talk myself into it. I have to know whether AJ Galante survived the NXT parking lot. Who went in there and saved that man? Did they pull that man from the fire yet? Where is that man? All right, moving on. Wesley is mad. He's taped up. He taped from his waist to his nipples. Like this guy wearing a lot of tape. They're telling him, look, man, you don't got to fight Sangha. He's like, yes, I do. I have to fight guys like Sangha to prove to everyone, including myself, that I can. We giving them a babyface story, underdog babyface storyline. It does them no good. Sanga whooped that ass. Threw him all over the place. I mean, that launch, my goodness. Did you see that? He launched this dude, and it was like he was throwing a football, like Michael Vick or something like that, throwing a football. It was crazy. Wesley loses to a gnarly choke slam. It was something else. Sanga was okay. He looks better than Veer. He has a more unique quality to him than Veer. Why did they? Well, I guess Sanga is the guy who botched the Great American Bash thing, right? Who leaked the footage of Keith Lee holding both belts? That was Sanga, right? So maybe that's why he's still in NXT and Veer got called up to Raw. I don't know, but I'm liking Sanga more than Veer. I can tell you that much. So Zion Quinn came out of nowhere, and he applauded Sanga's victory and was going to approach Wesley. I don't know what he had to say to Wesley. It's like he was just rubbing his face in his loss. When Sanga slid in the ring and grabbed Quinn and threw him. And Quinn was like, wait a minute, who did you? Oh, no, this dude's big. He's a big guy. He's a big boy. And Quinn backed down. And I was like, okay. So then Sanga helps Wesley to his feet and kind of cradled him under his arm like he was protecting him, like he was a little bitty baby bird. A little pretty baby bird under his wing. And I was like, oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Sanga respects Wesley. And he's going to protect him. Okay. This is the opposite of what Wesley is trying to do. But, I mean, I guess we'll figure that part out when we get there. So Cora Jade is back there. She's talking to Roxanne Perez. And they're chitter-chattering as Roxanne is getting ready for her match. Cora Jade, they tell a story about this chick that they fought in some place somewhere, like a schoolyard thing or something like that, high school thing. We're trying to tie these two together as if they're old friends. This is like something out of an Archie comic. So they decide that they're going to go Cora Jade has decided she's going to go pick a fight with Elektra Lopez, which is probably not smart. Which Roxanne Perez is like, why you want to go pick a fight with Elektra Lopez? And Cora Jade is like, a girl can't get a bucket of popcorn and watch the show? And I'm like, wait a minute, why would you go? All right, whatever. Put your career in your own hands if you want to. So apparently Cora Jade went and sat ringside to watch Elektra Lopez fine ass wrestle Alba Fire. So Alba Fire has a flaming red bat. It looks like it's molten. There's fire everywhere. She's wearing a shirt around her waist, like a plaid shirt. Very weird. The Alba Fire Resurrection actually looks pretty damn cool. The entrance is nice. The theme song, I guess I'll get used to it. But she's changed a bit. You know, the red hair now, I'm kind of liking it. I kind of like the Alba Fire. We can get rid of that damn shirt around the waist thing, though. I don't know what's up with that. But I kind of like this Alba Fire thing. You know, it's not bad. She wins with the Swanton Bomb. This match was far too short to really show off what fine-ass Elektra Lopez can do. And also, they kind of abandoned the story here, considering Cora Jade didn't really do anything to cause Elektra Lopez to lose. After the match, Elektra Lopez notices that Cora Jade is out there, and she swaps the popcorn out of her hand. They exchange words, but not much else occur. That was not my favorite thing on earth. Not my favorite thing. Moving on to the women's tournament, since I mentioned Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez defeated Lash Legend, which was it had a really good finish. Now, the match itself, I think, was kind of mid. It's a Lash Legend match, so it's not going to be great. But Lash Legend was going for almost a last ride style powerbomb. And Roxanne Perez counters that into the Code Red to win. Now, I'm not thrilled about the Code Red as a finish. I don't like it personally. But I think it works here because it's a counter hold. And Lash Legend is not a counter wrestler. So it makes sense that she would. And she's inexperienced. So it makes sense that would work on her. Okay, cool. So that's one half of the finals decided. Roxanne Perez will be in the finals. Then we find out that fine-ass Nikita Lyons is injured. And I'm telling you, I heard about 1 million hearts break at one time. It's like it's a crazy thing to hear that. It's like hearing, cicadas outside in the middle of the summer. You hear like 100 cicadas out there. That's the sound of all the hearts breaking, knowing that Nikita Lyons will not be in this tournament. I saw people literally having meltdowns on the Twitter machine. People were saying they're not watching the show anymore. There's folks who are very upset. I mean, they're sleeping in the wet spot right now, upset that Nikita Lyons would not be able to finish this tournament. So Fallon Henley was going to get a spot directed directly into the finals. And then she got accosted by Tiffany Stratton, who says that she didn't deserve to be in this spot. She didn't earn it. Fallon Henley, of course, says that she earns everything around here, and that if Tiffany Stratton doesn't think so, she can go get an official and make it pop and make it official, and she'll fight her. Tiffany Stratton then does so, and then Tiffany Stratton defeats Fallon Henley to make it to the finals of the tournament. Now, Tiffany Stratton should have been in this tournament from the beginning. Now, is Nikita Lyons legitimately hurt? I don't know. I honestly don't know. To me, it seemed like it would have made more sense for Roxanne Perez to win it. Like I was saying that from the beginning, that they would have to do something to get Nikita Lyons out of the tournament because she doesn't need to win. Roxanne Perez, because I told y'all when it occurred first time, right? When Roxanne Perez wrestled Mandy Rose and lost, I said it's a typical Shawn Michaels thing to have the person that you want to win the title get some focus on them, put them against the champion, they lose, and then they double back later and win. So I'm thinking Roxanne Perez is going to win the title. And Nikita Lyons being taken out of this tournament, it's kind of telling me that, yeah, Roxanne Perez is going to win it. Now, Tiffany Stratton should have been in this tournament from the beginning. We should not have had, Kayla Inlay. She shouldn't have been in it. Fallon Henley was a good choice. Maybe Sloane Jacobs could have been taken out of it. But to me, Tiffany Stratton should have been, and Saray, both should have been in this tournament from the beginning. But Tiffany Stratton winning, I am very impressed with Tiffany Stratton. She's gotten so much better. I think a lot of people were impressed with her submission hold today, the leg bar that she used when she did the little bridge and she was blowing kisses. But I was actually more impressed by her handsprings and a lot of the stuff she could do on the ropes, because I know that she's an acrobat. But most importantly, I knew she couldn't hit that stuff when she first started. Like her handspring elbow, like she was botching the hell out of that at first. She was awful and was slow with it too. But now she seems to have gotten it. She seemed to really be finding her groove in the ring. And she's still fairly young, I think all the matches she's ever had are the matches that we've seen. And she's improved quite a bit since, I think, February when she debuted. Grayson Waller came into the ring and congratulated her. A funny thing during this match is that Wade Barrett was talking about Brooks Jensen and said that Brooks Jensen is a virgin whose trusty right hand is out of commission. Oh, have mercy. Have mercy on me. Jesus H. Christ. So the finals of the breakout tournament will be Roxanne Perez versus Tiffany Stratton. Now, this ought to be fun. I think Roxanne Perez will win because Tiffany Stratton isn't undefeated anymore. So she could take a clean loss. I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez. I'm going to go with her all the way to the finish. I think she's going to actually win the championship too. So, but Tiffany Stratton getting a spot and then getting into the finals is not too bad. I don't mind it. I think she should have been in it from the beginning though. So that was fun. The women's tournament actually went by pretty fast, Considering they have so much talent in NXT, it seemed like they didn't even use most of them in this tournament. Now, since I was talking about Fallon Henley, and I did make that little joke about Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs made an appearance on this show. I don't know why. Von Wagner wrestled Ika Minjiro. Ika Minjiro was really fired up and sprinted to the ring, but Von Wagner was pretty dominant. Von Wagner is absolutely the most boring wrestler. He's one of the most boring wrestlers in the business right now. He's giving me big Jake Hager vibes. That's how bad he is right now. I know it's not his fault. He's very new, but he has anti-charisma. I'm telling you, man, like if he was a bearded lady, nobody would pay to see him. You know, like he's that awful right now. He is really not good. You know, his charisma is like negative. So, that's not good. Sophia was about to, Sophia motioned for Sophia Cromwell, the blonde, motions for Von Wagner to throw Ike Manjiro into the crowd. And Von Wagner apparently is taking orders from her, and he was about to do it. And this is when Josh Briggs ran to the ring and fought Von Wagner off, clotheslined him over the top rope. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't remember, to be quite honest, I forgot that Wagner is the one who hurt Jensen in his trusty right hand. I forgot all about that because I think it was, 3 weeks ago? I don't remember nothing about that. Anyway, Jensen is, Briggs is going to wrestle Von Wagner. I would rather not. Can we boot that to level up? Because, Briggs isn't my favorite guy in the world right now. And Wagner, least favorite guy in the world right now. In the wrestling world, I can say, but I'm not thrilled about either one of these guys being involved. And poor Ike Manjiro, what is he going to do now that Kushida gave up on him? He's an undersized Japanese guy. What do you do with him? That's what I want to know. What do you do with him? All right, so let's finally get to the Braun stuff. So Braun Breaker comes in. He's looking for Gacy and his boys. He's pointing in the direction of the locker room. Braun Breaker breaks into the locker room, finds a picture of his family from 20 years ago. And he's looking at the picture, and he gets kind of forlorn. He's like, aw, look at me. With my little cheeks and everything. Look at me. I'm so sad. Later, he's talking to the interview lady. And he said, look, Joe Gacy's trying to stir me up. And he's trying to get me to snap. That's not going to happen. And then there's football footage starts to play. And it's Braun Breaker playing football. And Braun Breaker gives us the breakdown saying, like, hey, this is my game. And my dad said, he was going to be to this game, but he didn't make it because he had to go to Japan. And he was upset. This reminded him of the disappointment that his father, had didn't show up to that game. And he's just kind of like, forget that. This is not a big deal. I think it might have been high school football. He's just like, nah, forget it. I don't want to deal with this. And he kind of goes away. So backstage, he's confronted by Duke Hudson, who says that he didn't got anything to do with this. And Braun Breaker's like, oh, yeah, whatever. Then Duke Hudson talks himself into an ass whooping by saying that Braun Breaker got daddy issues, to which he gets hemmed up on the locker. Like, they already had a match, but now he gets him hemmed up on the locker, and he's like he's going to kill him. Now, this in turn comes with some of the worst storytelling in the business right now. This is not good. This is not good. Joe Gacy is talking to his druids, and he tells the druids that they're getting to Braun. They're under his skin. He can't handle it. He can't handle the pressure. Braun Breaker is wrestling Duke Hudson. The match is, it doesn't have the heat that it should because there's no heat on Duke Hudson. There's not nearly enough heat on Duke Hudson. And so the Druids come out there, and Braun Breaker beats up the Druids. In doing so, he is distracted. There's a chair in the ring somehow. I think Duke Hudson brought the chair in the ring. Braun Breaker gets the chair, hits Duke Hudson with the chair in frustration, gets disqualified. Joe Gacy is outside the ring laughing at the fact that Duke Hudson wins by disqualification because Braun Breaker lost his temper. And we're led to believe that Joe Gacy and his machinations is manipulating Braun Breaker and going to get him disqualified so he can win the title by disqualification. And I said that's not exciting, sir. Sean, please do better than this. This Joe Gacy thing is not working. It is not working. It's lacking heat. It's lacking passion, story, and I don't think anybody truly believes that Braun Breaker could lose. So we're in a really terrible situation right now. Nobody believes in Gacy. And that's what we should be doing now, is getting people to believe in Gacy. Now, I know a lot of people are flipping out over who the Druids are. Who are the Druids? I want to know who the Druids are. And my thing is, I'm okay with delayed gratification. I don't need to know who they are, because it's not important who they are right now. Knowing who they are would not make the story better. But unless, let's say, the people who it is are going to be the ones who throw Braun Breaker for a loop. Now, let's say, how could we have made this story better? It seems like this is what they were going for, but they didn't finish it. I think they was going for a Batman Hush kind of situation. And that's in my situation, that could be the only way to improve this storyline, is if it's a Hush type of story. And if you never read Batman Hush, it's a story where Batman is led on these clues that these crazy things are happening, and it's somebody from his past, but he doesn't know who it is. So he's tracking down. It make him suspicious of everybody. Like, that's how we should have been doing it. If this was going to be like the Joe Gacy driving Braun Breaker crazy. This is kind of what they've been trying to do. Is they've been having Braun Breaker go into these rooms and finding these very personal things, like his dad tied up, or these tapes or whatever. And it's what's been trying to get into Braun Breaker's head, which is, good storytelling. That's fine. But we definitely need to put more heat on Gacy, and we didn't really do that. And then we turned him into a Skeletor or some shit. I'm off the subject. But the story of Hush was all about, Batman fighting all of these villains, thinking that this is the ultimate bad guy that's behind his discontent, and it ends up being somebody that was very close to him instead. And that's the only way that the Druid reveal will make sense, is if these Druids were really somebody who was close to Braun, and therefore in the match, when they unmask and Braun is like, oh no, almost like Seven, where, we find out that his brother and sister or something like that are Joe Gacy's Druids, and he spazzes out and beats the tar out of Joe Gacy and gets disqualified and loses. Then it would make perfect sense, and I would say this is great storytelling. But if it's two wrestlers who have no connection at all to Braun Breaker, I don't care about that. I don't care about it just being two wrestlers. It's two guys that Braun Breaker is going to beat up. So what? Unless it's Rick and Scott Steiner, or two other people that we have been introduced to before, or could be introduced to, because it could be some people that we've never seen before, and therefore there'll be some confusion there, which is, a big issue. Is we gonna be confused, like, why should I care about this random dude here? Which is why we should have introduced like somebody in his backstory, to when we reveal them later, is somebody that can throw them off the handle, But we're in an odd place with these Druids and everything, because we know the Druids were introduced as a way to replace Harland. You had one Harland, you got two Druids. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm not tripping over who the Druids are. I really don't care. It's not important right now. But I would go out of my way to make who the Druids are important. I think that would be smart. Damon Kemp says that Roderick Strong is injured. Everybody's hurt around this son bitch. Nobody want to come to work. Roderick Strong is hurt, and therefore the tag team match between him and Roderick Strong against Pretty Deadly is off. The Creed brothers are disappointed and upset in Roderick Strong and said this is unacceptable, and that in Diamond Mine you don't make excuses. They tell the story of that one Creed brother almost busting his ankle and knee and shin and thigh, doing a cannonball from the top rope, and he's still there. And Kemp said, look, I'm just here to earn my spot, and I'm going to keep y'all updated on what's going on with Roderick Strong. And the Creeds are definitely complaining. They're upset, saying that Pretty Deadly always gets away with it. They always kind of get lucky. And then we get a Pretty Deadly promo later on. And I'm going to tell you the truth, dog. Last week, I think I may have said it. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I may have said it. That Pretty Deadly are so obnoxious that I want them to see to get them their asses kicked, I have to say, I think I'm becoming a fan. I'm starting to like Pretty Deadly. This promo on this show was very good. I watched it again. I enjoyed it that much. So the gist of the promo is that Diamond Mine is falling apart, and that they have yet to get revenge on them for tearing up their locker room. Then says that Roderick Strong's injury is lame-o, and things ain't going well over there. That Diamond Mine can't get along while they are the best tag team, and in 10 days or whatever, they're going to get to sample 2 of the tastiest snacks in NXT, and which was hilarious. And then they start talking about how great a tag team they are, and interspersing "yes boy" into that, and it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious. Like, they're so entertaining and they're so overconfident, and they look like 2 guys from the cover of romance novels. It is perfect. It's all perfect. How they dress, they look like idiots, but they talk well, you know. And I just kept saying, I think I tweeted this out. What is their name on the main roster going to be? Because it's not going to be Deadly, you know. So it's going to be pretty cool guys, pretty boys, pretty long hairs, something like that, something silly. But these dudes are really good, and I don't know what you do with them once they lose the titles. You know, maybe you do a rematch or 2. But I think we get Pretty Deadly on the main roster pretty quickly, especially into the Max Dupree storyline. They need to be in that. Again, they don't need the manager. It's just annoying as shit and would work for them, you know? So I think we definitely need to have Pretty Deadly, and I'm becoming a fan. If they can keep cutting promos that are fun and funny and yet still have some content to them and they not come across as complete and total dorks, it could be fun, you know. And I'm starting to like Pretty Deadly, man. They're not bad. All right, so Mandy Rose told Indy Hartwell that calling her out was a mistake, and before she gets another sentence out, Toxic Attraction is jumped by Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Mandy Rose, who was the 3rd person in Toxic Attraction, just kind of watched the fight break out and was just kind of like, you know what? I got other things to do. And just left her friends to fight Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. And she just kind of went to the ring. So Indy Hartwell wrestles Mandy Rose. Indy Hartwell has another new theme. It's kind of meh. They're having a match. It's pretty It's okay, I guess. Then Toxic Attraction and Kaden Carter fight towards ringside, which is that's never good. I don't ever believe that people are fighting that long. You know, like, they've been fighting a long time to fight to the ringside. They, of course, get into the ring, distract Indy Hartwell. Mandy Rose hit the running knee to get the pinfall. Indy Hartwell loses. Sucks for her. As Mandy Rose is chuckling and loving her victory, Wendy Choo shows up with a body pillow and bashes her in the face with it. Then we find out that the body pillow is filled with basketballs. And I instantaneously wanted to choke somebody, whoever was in the nearest vicinity. I wanted to choke somebody. Somebody needed to get choked for this. This is awful. I hate Wendy Choo. I hate Wendy. And I don't hate Wendy Choo in a way that I hate Pretty Deadly. Because I want to see Pretty Deadly get beat up. I don't want to beat them up, though. I just want to watch other people beat them up. I would legitimately body slam Wendy Choo. She's a grown adult person who looks like she's going to a sleepover all the time. I can't stand it. It's absolutely terrible. I hate it so much. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance says that they attacked Toxic Attraction because they've been taking their kindness for weakness, and they will not be denied. And whether it's Black and Gold or 2.0, they want what they got coming, and they ain't gonna stop until they get what they want. Then Wendy Choo came out there and basically challenged Mandy Rose and says that, Toxic Attraction can walk in with all the titles, but they're not gonna walk out with them. And I was like, because I saw it coming, and then they did it. They agreed for Wendy Choo to wrestle Mandy Rose. And I'm like, please, just do it on TV. Just do it on TV. Please don't do this at this pay-per-view. Come on. The NXT women's division is, under fire, not just because of, the Smexy, but also due to not having the highest of quality matches. And I'm not going to say, we need high quality matches. We need good characters. But for me, Wendy Chu is not even a good enough character to make this thing work. So I don't know. Later, Toxic Attraction cut a promo. And to me, it was a very fun promo. And it felt like, they felt like top girls. Mandy says that she's done with Wendy Chu and that Wendy Chu is a joke and that she's a grown-up kid and Mandy's a grown-ass woman. JC Jane with the short jokes on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter and said they're going to get set back to Munchkin Land. Gigi Dolan says that everybody is so insecure, struggling to get a taste of what they already have and jealous of how quickly they got to the top. And I was like, this is probably the best Toxic Attraction promo they've had together in a while. Everybody got to the point and it wasn't too long. And everybody spoke seemingly in their own voice with the exception of Gigi Dolan, who still sounds like she's reading in front of the class. So there that go. Okay, with Toxic Attraction being called up, I think they need to be called up. Simply because I know that we need tag teams for this women's tag team thing that we insist on doing. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter could also be moved up to the main roster. They've been there for a long time. Maybe we can move up both teams, because they both probably need to be moved up. But I don't mind what's going on here. I just don't like the Wendy Chu thing. I wish Wendy Chu would at least take something seriously. It would be nice for her to have an edge where, okay, she's the trickster who is making fun of the Empress Mandy Rose, and we get it. But at some point, there has to be a level of seriousness to this character that makes me believe that she can win the title. Right now, she comes across like a sideshow freak who's going to fall ass backwards into a title shot, get beat, and then be forced to move on. It's ridiculous. We got Taya Hale, who is going to be graduating high school literally by the time you listen to this video. And she's going to be training at the PC while she's in college. And she's going to debut next week. And she starts talking about how all of her friends want to be astronauts and baseball players and something or other. And she just wanted to be a WWE superstar. I just put my head in my hands and was like, oh my good God, why are we telling everybody we signed this girl? Now, unless she's fabulous, which, she very well could be. That's why they're doing vignettes for her. If she's over the top good, then, I'll eat my words. But if she's a mid, not ready for prime time player, I would say we could have saved this for another 2 years. We could have saved it for a little while. But we'll see. I'm willing to give her a chance. I saw some, I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I saw some AEW fans making fun of WWE for signing this girl while she was still in high school. It's like, did you not see that AEW signed not only 16-year-old Nick Wayne, who is he's 16, which means he's younger than this girl is. So if she hasn't graduated high school yet, he certainly hasn't either. And they even said he cannot wrestle in AEW until he turns 18, which is in 2 years. But they also offered a contract to Brody Lee's 9-year-old son. I'm sorry. Come on, bruh. When you got third graders offering contracts, we got a problem. Like, these wrestling companies have to stop being so desperate. WWE, let these people get some life experience. I would not sign anybody unless they were exceptionally talented, like a Nikita Lyons or a Roxanne Perez. I probably would not sign anybody under the age of 25. That's just me personally. Now, I know Braun Breaker is also under 25, but he's also one of the exceptional people. You have to be exceptionally talented for me to sign anybody under the age of 25. And the reason for that is, in order to find out who you are as a character, you first have to find out who you are as a person. What are your likes and dislikes? Yes, everybody has likes and dislikes. I like baked chicken. I don't like fried chicken, that kind of thing. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your scene in life. What kind of friends do you have? What kind of interests do you have? What are your passions? What kind of partners do you have? What kind of friends do you have? When you're still in sort of college age, that stuff flips all the damn time. You hanging out with the goths one minute, you're playing with the video game nerds the next, you with the anime club here, then you're trying to be in a frat and all this kind of stuff. Because you're still floating about, click hopping, trying to figure out who you are. And you'll never actually get over, unless somebody slaps a character on you and you just do that, you'll never get over that way. You have to know who you are. And I saw this, I didn't watch the Nikita Lyons thing when she was talking to Ryan Satin. But she was talking about, it wasn't Ryan Satin, it was somebody else. But she was talking about being 22 years old and trying to figure out who she is while also being on TV. And she's like, oh, it was so great trying to figure out who I am and other people being in that process. I'm like, that's the process of self-discovery should not be done on television. You should know who you are so you can delineate who you are from the character that you wish to portray. And I also saw on TV that she said that her gimmick is being her. And I'm like, no, that is not going to work. Look, you fine and all, Nikita Lyons, but you need to have a character. You're not that fine. You're not fine enough for me to bend the rules of, you don't need to have a character. Everybody needs to have a goddamn character. Even if your character is yourself turned up to 11, then maybe that's what it needs to be. But you need to literally come up with a character. But signing these kids, man, I don't get it. Even if she's especially talented athletically, is it really worth it to blow that up? It just doesn't make much sense to me. Let's move on to the final thing here. It was Trick and Mello in the barbershop. So Trick and Mello are in the barbershop talking about, and Mello is like, he needs to get his championship back because, he's not recognizing himself in the mirror. He's not walking the same, not talking the same. He ain't got the same swagger. And I like that. He's having a crisis of confidence since he lost that title. And they're talking some trash about Cameron Grimes. And then Cameron Grimes shows up. And Cameron Grimes just wants to talk. And everybody is just absolutely offended. Trick Williams was amazing. Like, he was so over the top in these scenes with his facial expressions and everything. It was tremendous. Legitimately good. It wasn't good acting. Like, 'cause he was overacting. But it was funny and entertaining, which is matters. And Carmelo Hayes had pretty good lines, though. So Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes go back and forth. Cameron Grimes tells Carmelo Hayes about Nathan Frazier, how everybody is saying he's a better version of Carmelo Hayes. And Carmelo like, what? What do you mean a better version of me? They says that he's going to beat this better version of Carmelo Hayes to prove that he can beat Carmelo Hayes. That's kind of ridiculous, but okay. Carmelo Hayes says that Cameron Grimes did not earn that championship. But he also doesn't carry the championship, doesn't rock that championship like he does. He says that you're not the A champion, you're just a title holder. I thought that was a nice burn. And everybody going, ooh. It was funny. So you got Cameron Grimes who says, man, maybe I don't deserve it, but I damn sure earned it. Then he says that, that's all you'll ever be is just a champion. And then, you'll never be the champion. I'm like, okay, I like this. This is a nice little setup here. This was fun. I love the barbershop segments, very culture heavy. It works. Cameron Grimes not being scared to go in there. I actually forgot that this was a one-on-one match. I thought it was a triple threat match. They've been featuring Solo Sikoa so much in this damn thing. He's not booked for the show, by the way. Solo Sikoa. Shouldn't he have a feud or something? Maybe Solo Sikoa should have been Braun Breaker's opponent for In Your House, considering how over he is right now. So that was fine. I liked the Trick and Mello in the barbershop. I thought that was fine. All right, so the very last thing we got to talk about is Giovanni Vici. So this gentleman likes the finer things in life. He is Italian, and therefore he likes high style, Gucci belts and Versace, and nice alligator shoes and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, there's a lot of rich people in NXT. There's a lot of rich people running around NXT. If you got all this money, why are you going to the bottom roster? Go to the main roster. Pay Vince to bypass that whole NXT thing. So he speaks in Italian, doesn't speak English. And I was thinking, like, I have not heard about them signing any Italian athletes. At first, I thought it was A-Kid because they was kind of doing something similar with A-Kid when he was in NXT UK. They were trying to make him a man of culture. But A-Kid speaks Spanish. He don't speak Italian, as far as I know. So he was wearing like turtleneck shirts, and he looks like Archer. Like these long turtleneck shirts, and he looked like almost like a model a little bit. And but he's very small. But it wasn't him. And then I saw on the internet some people was just tossing around names. And somebody says that this might be Fabian Eichner from Imperium. This might be the repackage. And that he might be Giovanni Vici. And I was like, okay. All right. He's been gone long enough, I guess. We repackaged Walter. We repackaged Kaiser, Bartel. So it's about time for us to repackage Eichner. All right. He's been gone long enough. The crazy thing about this is in today's world, the new generation era, we used to see guys get repackaged all the time, which is why it doesn't bother me too much with the name changes and everything. Like, cause I'm used to the Fighting Machine 1 minute, and then the Godfather the next minute. It's like the same fucking guy. I remember seeing him before, like that guy was Papa Shango, and now he's a pimp. Like, oh well, it is what it is, man. He was recast, so I'm kind of used to it. The new generation era did that kind of stuff all the time with just moving people around from one gimmick to the other. Because the roster was small, so they kept recycling dudes, Like when Jim Yavo Neidhart was turned into Who. A lot of people still get confused about that gimmick. But it was just Jim Yavo Neidhart in a mask. I think Vince was just trying to give him a break. But he put him in a mask. It was hilarious. So I don't really get too uptight about the repackagings. Some people get really tight-assed about new names and that kind of stuff. I think that the names are stupid. That's the worst part of it, is when the name is stupid. Not that they changed the name. It's just the name is dumb. So if this is Fabian Eichner, I'm fine with it. If it's not, I'll be interested in seeing who it is. But something tells me it's just going to be Fabian Eichner. And that's cool. But this wasn't my favorite episode of NXT. The gang war is fun, but I feel like it's kind of repetitive. And I think we should have been upping the stakes by now. They need to take it to the next level. I think they need to agree to have a parking lot brawl, 6-on-6 parking lot brawl. And Tony D'Angelo needs to bring an Italian girl that she never seen before. Nobody's ever seen before. Counteract Elektra Lopez. And I think that if you agree to have a turf war, and it's going to be recorded and played on the screens, or you do the old part pre-taped, part actual fight. I think that could be fun, man. If you started in the back with them fighting in the parking lot, then they work their way to the ring. That could be fun. They could brawl all over the building. Like, that would be a good pay-per-view quality thing. We already had Tony D'Angelo versus Santos Escobar. So now we talking about war. Maybe they're going to do a cage match of some kind. Is it time for War Games yet? Maybe later this year. Maybe they'll drag this thing to War Games and have Legado del Fantasma versus Tony D'Angelo and his family. That could be something. It'll probably be over by then. But that isn't as interesting to me because I feel like Tony D'Angelo isn't written to be violent enough or aggressive enough. He's still being written too passively. We need for him to take it to the next level. And Gacy has not worked. It is not working. We don't get Gacy yet. He was off TV for a long time, and then all of a sudden he's a top contender. It's kind of like, nah, I don't know. We should have been spending some time getting some more heat on him. And then the whole thing with releasing Harland in the middle of this it really was detrimental to that. Wendy Chu is bogging down the women's NXT championship division. I mean, Mandy Rose is not the strongest champion in the world anyway, but you're giving her weak, beatable contenders. I'm not a fan of that, so it's not my favorite time in NXT right now. Maybe it's time for a purge and some call ups and some new blood to get swept in, because or a new creative direction. That might just be a nice little change. But I'm not really a huge fan of NXT this week. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.